Sublingual. How many things do you have to know about it?
3.
Try this one out. What am I going to do tonight? What's he doing? Oh, it's so light. Okay, what's all this?
You can see this.
You can see this thing. You see it? I know it's not very dark.
Oh, that's the salivary duct.
Salivary duct. What's the last thing you have to know? Serous denule. Got lost. Oh my goodness, it's horrible. Right over there. Serous denule. Or any of these caps on the edges. Gotta get the batteries. So what was that again? The whole thing? Sublingual. What area? The neck. What's the thing on the right? Majority of the stuff on the left? Dentin. Left is this right? Dentin. And that thing? Pulp cavity. Area?
Crown.
Area?
Root.
That thing. Alveolar bone. Then comes next to the right. Periodontal ligament. And then what's at the outside edge of that dentin? Cementum. Cementum. That's gonna work. Oh, so small. The little edge of the dentin in the root area. If there's a pointer there, what's at the end of the pointer?
I would have said the ligament.
On the very edge? The ligament's that full space.
So it'll be like in the middle of that ligament? Is that okay?
Which organ?
Submandibular gland.
Submandibular. How many items?
3.
Those things? Salivary duct. Everything about here? Sericini. And these? Mucosacini. Alright, so the other ones from last time are on the microscope, so you can see those. We'll review them on Thursday. You need to be keeping up with everything. What was the one I didn't review from the first time?
Arteries.
How many things do you have to know on that?
3.
How do you know which one's the vein?
It's more squiggly looking, and
Okay.
the artery is more round. Artery is round.
Arteries round and
Thicker.
thicker. Is it what layer? What layer is thicker?
The external.
What layer is thicker in the artery?
Medium.
Media. So make a media. All right, so on to tonight. We're doing our stomach, ileum, and colon. So on the hip page, there's not much to tell you on that. For the stomach has a little bit more of the odd structures in there. So we have the gastric pits, which are kind of valleys in the epithelial lining. And it'll ask, what's the opening at the end of the pointer? And that would be the opening into that valley or that pit. Lymph nodules, we're going to look for them again in all of these slides. Generally, if we see them, we see them. If we don't, we don't. Different cuts have different ones, so we'll just scan them on all of them. Lamina propria, again, in all of these are going to be easier to see closer to the top of the slide or the right beneath the epithelial layer. As you get further and further down in that mucosa layer, you start getting more and more glands that are going to appear and start to kind of push aside that lamina. For the ileum, you'll be able to recognize that as the ileum because it's going to have these projections that look that are called villi. And again, that would be what's the entire round of projection at the end of the pointer if we wanted the answer to be villi or villus. Some people have a hard time distinguishing between the gastric pits and the villi, so pay attention as we go along. For the colon, there are no valleys or pits or villi or anything in there, and you're going to see lots and lots of these clear cells that are lining in with the simple columnar, and that's going to be the goblet cells. Again, those are going to secrete mucus, but it's going to be handy to know kind of what the difference is between the ileum, the colon, and the stomach. So the colon has lots and lots and lots of these goblet cells in it. So again, in each one of these, we have the same layers. The mucosa layer is where many of the structures are going to be found. So in each one, again, we have the simple columnar. Each one, we have lamina propria right after. And then this is where it starts to break down. So we have the gastric pits again in the stomach, gastric glands in the stomach, lymph nodules again in all of them, and the muscularis mucosa in all of them. For the ileum, we have the presence of the goblet cells and the intestinal cells. I think some of the books say intestinal glands. It's again multiple choice. Muscularis mucosa, lymph nodules as well. For the colon, same structures as the ileum there, the goblet cells, intestinal glands, lymph nodules, muscularis mucosa, all of that in the mucosa layer. The submucosa, nothing you have to know in there. It just has the connective tissue and blood vessels for you to kind of see. It's kind of this clearish layer that's always going to be after the mucosa. The muscularis externa layer always has the same two layers, circular, then longitudinal. It's always circular to the inside, longitudinal to the outside. The colon has a extra little spot in there, and that's where we had that network of nerves that help to control the movement and secretions, and that's going to be the ganglion of myenteric plexus. You can see it in the ileum. You can not very well see it in the stomach because of the way it's been cut, but for the colon, that's where you're going to have to be able to identify it, is in the myenteric in the colon. Also in the stomach, notice we didn't put the oblique layer in there. It's hard enough to see the circular versus longitudinal on that one because it's been cut so many different weird ways. So generally, the differences between circular and longitudinal on the stomach will not be an issue.